I'm Ryan Milliken from Hardway Performance, and you're listening to the Diesel Power Podcast.
I'm Dimitri Miller with No Zone Diesel.
This is Anthony Range from XDP.
This is Jaron Holder from Holderdown Performance.
I'm Corey Willis from PPEI.
I'm Drew with D&J Precision Machine.
I'm Pinky.
And you're listening to the Diesel Power Podcast.
Diesel Power Podcast.
You're listening to the Diesel Power Podcast.
The Diesel Power Podcast.
The one and only Diesel Power Podcast.
We're excited to have you on the podcast, Mike. I know we've been chatting for a while, known each other for a while, but it's great to have you on and talk about your truck and your business and what you got planned for 2017.
Yes, sir.
So I had a guy call me the other day, and he wanted to know about your Pro Street truck. And it's a beautiful truck, by the way. But I wanted to chat with you some more and introduce our listeners to what you've built and just your goals for it in 2017, where you want to take it.
Sounds great, buddy. Fire away the questions, and I'll be glad to answer them.
Now I know it's orange. It's a short bed, and I'm not sure if is it a 6.7 that's in it?
It's actually a 5.9, man. Kind of keeping it simple and effective. To give you a little backstory on the truck, or the understanding of how we got to where we are today, is I used to actually race a 2010 standard cab four-wheel drive truck in NHRDA 1190-770 class. And when I built that truck, I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not going ahead and wanting to do a two-wheel drive truck, mainly because of the weight. And also, if you look at the really fast vehicles, everything's two-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to a point with that truck, and I couldn't bring myself to go ahead and cut the cab up on it and put a cage in it because it was still a new truck, low mileage, and whatnot. So fast forward to about 2014, and I made it up in my mind, hey, I want to step up classes, and I want to build a two-wheel drive truck, but I want to go ahead and implement some things that I'd learned over the time from fellow racers, guys that were already running two-wheel drive trucks. And then also we keep up a lot with the small tire racing segment, outlaw racing and whatnot. And I looked at those guys for a long time and said, man, they're fighting a lot of the same problems we have. We're dealing with torque management, power management, and getting two-wheel drive to hook. And those guys are dealing with a lot of horsepower and a really small tire and trying to make it hook. So as big a different worlds we're in, we're actually real similar in the same problems we're having with just trying to get down the track.
Yeah.
And that's and that really intrigued me because those guys are already ahead of the ball game when you look at what mile an hour and what times they're running, say, an eighth mile right now. And that got me on a kick to do the two-wheel drive and sit down and start really studying about, hey, how are we going to get to a point that we build a really good chassis? That was number one on the list. I feel like a lot of guys get so focused on horsepower, they forget that, hey, if you don't have a chassis and a way to put it to the ground, what good's all this horsepower going to do you?
Yeah.
And I reached out to some friends, Wide Open Design in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and told them, hey, guys, this is what I'd like to do. Now, mind you, those guys, they build some of the best off-road race vehicles in the country, Ultra 4 cars, rock bouncers, you name it. That's what they're really known for. But their fabrication is phenomenal. So I talked to the guys. I've known them forever. And they said, heck yeah, we'd love to be a part of this. Let's get together on it. So I went and bought a 2011 standard cab, two-wheel drive base model truck. I'm surprised it even had power brakes on it. It was a base model. It was like Fred Flintstone edition right out of the gate. So I picked it up and got it down to them and sat back and said, okay, guys, let's focus on the chassis and what are the potentials with it. Let's not limit ourselves to just a diesel, because what if something happened in the diesel world and that racing dynamic changed? Let's have it set up so that we could potentially put a Hemi in it also. So we said, okay, To do that, we need to hit this spec. So we went for a 25.3 chassis cert spec, which is good at like 650 in the quarter mile for a reference. And I said, okay, how about this? When we look at a lot of Pro Street trucks, we find that the cabs on them are not removable. So everything has to be welded up inside of it. So what we did is we figured out a way to actually cut the firewall and the back wall out and make the cab completely removable, build the chassis, and then turn around, put the cab back on it, and have bolt-together panels so everything's fully removable.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. So that kind of starts the first piece of the puzzle. And with this all being said, because it is a Pro Street truck, I wanted it to look like a true street truck on the interior. So if you'll notice the truck, it still has a full dash in it, full door panels, roll-up windows, regular locks. It's got everything of the normal interior, if you will, except for a funny car cage and a passenger seat. That was another requirement. I was like, man, I got to have a passenger seat because sooner or later one of my buddies want to go for a ride with me. And another little piece you'll see, we'll have a cup holder in there too, just in case. So I got all these ideals spinning around, right? And I'm trying to get together with the best guys in the industry to figure out how to make this dream into a reality. Okay? So if you really start looking at the truck, you're going to see those aspects inside of it. But then as you step back and look at the truck as an overall, we had to accommodate some rules that were current in Pro Street with like NHRDA, where we had to utilize an actual frame rail underneath the cab. So we did do that, and then by going to 25.3 spec, we made it basically a double frame where you still have the tube chassis going through it, but you have the factory frame rail right underneath the floorboards of the truck.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so it's not a back half truck. It's got a full chassis under it, the front of it's been clipped, and the rear. You'll notice it's got strange coilovers on the rear, a strange strut on the front, based off of like a Mustang 2 front end. And what we did is one of the key pieces is I really wanted to figure out how to get the truck to balance. One of the biggest problems we see in the diesel racing aspect is the engine sits so far forward, you really are just so nose heavy, it's hard to get one to launch, right?
Yeah.
So what we did is we took the engine and moved it back 16 inches. So it's sitting very nice. As far as balance goes, put it on the scale, it balances out 51.49.
About as close as you can get.
You got it. And with that being said, where that opened up some other options for me is by being able to balance it like that, we put in about 22 weight spots on the truck. So we can place weight wherever we need to make class weight. That's one of the big questions. All the guys are like, man, that truck's not going to make weight. It will make weight. It's no problem at all. We can do that. But we have about 22 spots, so we can put weight anywhere in the chassis we need to, right? So that's one of the cool features. And then moving on up into the engine segment of it, like I say, we stuck with a 5.9. One of my really good friends, Robert Donaldson, has Donaldson Diesel Performance down in Florida. He was a crew chief for Team Green, or Stuckey Racing. A lot of guys know them from way back in the day. He and I got together, and he said, Mike, let's put an engine together that's going to work, and nothing crazy, though 1,800 horsepower. We're just focused on something that will be consistent every time the truck comes off the trailer. So he got in there, did some of his tweaking on the engine. Fleece Performance, those guys, we've worked together for years with them, so they helped me out on all the accessory side, the fueling side and turbo side. And then we've got a Suncoast 48. Can't go wrong there. Ron Wolverton down at Suncoast, he's been a ton of help with trying to figure this out, because that's always the next question is, how are we going to get the power to the ground and get the trans to hold up?
That's what I was going to ask.
You got it, man. That's the biggest fear is, hey, will this work? But I tell you this, Ron has been busting ass flat out to figure out ways to get the shafts internally to hold up. And we've got some new parts in this transmission, and we're going to go for it. Can I say that it's going to work perfect? Absolutely not. But are we going to really try? Hell yeah, we are. I've got Ryan Milliken from Hardway Performance. Ryan and I have been really good friends for a long time, and he's tuned every truck I've ever owned that's been diesel in the common rail version. This particular truck, he's taken over all the tuning there, so he'll be helping me out. And he and I've come up with a couple different formulas we think will work. So we're really looking forward to it, man.
It's I do remember your old single cab. I don't remember if it was silver or white, but I remember you had a Suncoast Comp 68 in it, and you were going all over racing with it. And then I saw, the early stages of this Pro Street truck, and where you've taken it and hearing those details. It's intense. I mean, it's one of the things that maybe a lot of diesel fans out there don't know is how much science goes into a truck like this. Like, yes. You're mentioning the weight and how you can distribute it and all the different combinations of things you can do. That takes time and, practice and just trial and error to figure that out.
Absolutely. And the silver truck was an absolute blast. Let's just right out of the gate. Man, that was a fun truck. Speaking of Ryan Milliken, back then in 12, he and I got together on that, and we're like, man, let's make an 800-horse street truck with a 68 in it, and let's try using stock internals. Everybody's like, oh, you're crazy, it's going to blow up. And I'll never forget, we're down there at his shop on the dyno, and it had H&S tuning back then on it, right? And Ryan gets in there and he's like, man, let me try this MCC out on it, and I'm going to do a couple tweaks. And the truck made like 690 horse, right? And then he gets in there for about 15 minutes and he's like, let's just hit it. And we do, and it makes 815 horsepower. We're both looking at each other like, holy shit, and it didn't blow up, So that kind of started it right there, and we started racing it around the country, any local race we could get into, anything in NHRDA at that point in time. And with that being said, we were able, with the 68, that was obviously a big scare, but once again, Ron Wolverton put in the time, helped us out, and we were able to run low 11s with that truck. And that was pretty impressive for a street truck on 420s. That could go out, click off a 7 flat pass 701 and 1140s, It was pretty good time, and it was on a 68. If it would have had a 48 in it, maybe we could have even gotten it down into the 10s. I don't know. But I hit a wall with it in the aspect of I just didn't want to start cutting the body up. And was fortunate enough to be able to sell it to a mutual friend out of state. They have since put a 48 in it and are working on it. And it kept inspiring me, man. It's like, okay, how can we keep pushing the envelope? Big thing on this new Pro Street truck is the safety aspect. It wears the hell out of me. From the whole standpoint of racing, we've been very fortunate to not see any accidents, major accidents, but as the trucks keep getting faster and faster, we've got to keep the safety aspect in check.
That's a really good point, and probably something, we, on the outside looking in, we all just look at how fast they go and everything, but yeah, I mean, it's dangerous, going that fast.
It really is. When you start looking at the weight of the vehicle versus the mile an hour and the momentum that it's carrying, it's scary to think of what could go wrong with it. So it's like, you know what, let's focus on, when we started on this project, it was let's focus on the chassis, let's focus on the suspension, and let's incorporate anything and everything possible to be as safe as possible going down the track if something does go south. You'll notice on this truck, something I haven't really seen any of the guys do yet. we've went ahead and implemented a fire suppression system in it. You say, well, it's a diesel, man. Chances of it catching on fire, really not going to happen. In the scheme of things, all it takes is one time for it to catch on fire.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and look at the money that's tied up in the truck, the value of yourself. You know, I don't want to burn up, and especially don't want to burn up over something stupid. So let's go ahead and put a $1,000 suppression system in it and have it there. The small tire racing, the outlaw racing taught me that. Every one of those cars runs fire suppression in them. You know, so we picked up a lot of pieces there and have implemented it now into the race truck.
It's really cool, and that's yeah. I mean, that's something. Even I never really thought about it, you know, until you mentioned it. But yeah, I mean, it's just those little things that you know, some of those other guys have done, whether it was, you know, in gas and other things, where they've already pioneered a lot of this and kind of been through it, and it allows the diesel side to just kind of fast forward a little bit and take some of the lessons and techniques and things that they've learned and apply them to these trucks.
It really does, and as you see the trucks going faster and faster each year, you know, you look at 2016 and look at what, say, Ryan Milliken was able to accomplish in Mini Wheat and Levon was able to accomplish in his truck, and Chase Lunsford and even Ashley Black. All those guys are really pushing the envelope, right? Running sub 550 passes. And you start looking at it and you say, okay, this is now creeping into this outlaw racing world to where they were 3 years ago. Those guys ran into power management problems, how to get the power applied and make it down the track. And that's something we've been studying a lot now, and that's what we're going to be implementing in the new truck. So once again, we're taking another notice. Okay, how do we get this power to actually hook? Suspension's going to do X amount. Tuning will do X amount, but how do we get all those to come together and be able to apply it every time it comes off the trailer? You know, yeah. If it's a slick track, okay, no problem. We'll be able to do a little adjusting, back some power out, and there you go. Whereas a lot of guys have kind of taken that attitude, we'll just throw all the power we got at it and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not doing that with this truck. And that's why I say we're not focused on a real high horsepower engine right now. We're focused on point A to point B. The engine, we can change that at any given time, but the chassis, that's kind of a one and done situation when you're working this in depth with it.
You know, you built it right from the ground up, you know, and then you can adapt. You got different ways.
You got it. Like I say, the truck right now, it's set up. The chassis side, we've got infinite adjustability on the 4-link on the rear. As far as the front end goes, we're squared away there with the strut style setup we've done on it. And now it's like, okay, so let's get it out for the first year, and let's see what we can do with 1,400 horsepower. Okay? And after 2017's over, then we will go back to the books and look at it and see if it's worth going ahead and changing it up and shooting for, say, 1,800 horsepower. You know, as far as the weight goes on the truck, the nice part we're dealing with right now is the truck is still all metal and glass. The rear window is the only thing that's not glass in it. So we can still cut weight. We can do glass doors, glass hood, glass fenders, and on, and cut some more weight, and that would allow us to go up to a Pro Mod class if we choose to do that.
That's really cool. Yeah, we're gonna have fun watching you this year and you know, chatting with you.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'm looking forward to it. 2016 definitely did not come together as fast as we would have liked it to. The shop's been crazy busy, and being honest with you, you know, the team I've got in place at my shop right now is kicking ass, and we're focused on, hey, we got to get the business, keep it growing. The race truck can come after, you know, and that's why I say right now for 17 we're on track as we speak to have it racing by Rudy's. So hopefully that'll be at the season opener, and we'll see what it'll do. I
wanted to talk about RLC Motorsports more. I've I've seen you guys grow over the years, and you guys do a ton of cool builds. I see them on Instagram all the time.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to talk to you about what you guys do there, and if you guys I see like you work on everything. I see lift kits, I see performance builds, I see custom work, I see it all.
Yes, sir. We've been in business for 14 years, and one of the key pieces to our business is when we actually started, we were doing rhino linings, spring-in liners 14 years ago, right? On the side, I've always been into four-wheel drive off-road work. When I got rhino linings going, I added the off-road work, right? So fast forward about 5 years in the business, and as that took off really well, we started seeing a lot of our customers bringing in diesel trucks that were hauling their off-road vehicles, or they were coming in to get their diesel trucks rhino lined. So we started adding to those trucks. That market started growing, right? So fast forward 5 more years, and next thing you know, now we're into full-off engine builds, whatever it takes to get the customer to where they want to go to. Fast forward 4 more years to current day, and we're busting at the seams. So the business, the market has been great. I think we have some of the best customers you could ever ask for because they're open-minded, and they come to us and they say, hey, man, this is kind of the ideal. And my guys here in the office, they say, hey, what if we did this and what if we did that? And next thing you know, this crazy project's going on. So it's been really good to us. 2016, we realized that we've got to get into a bigger location. So fortunately, we've worked it out. In 2017, this year, we are moving to a new location. That's going to be like 4 times the size of the shop that we're in currently. So we're all excited about that right now.
The space is one of those things I've learned that it plays a part in efficiency. I'm sure you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Guys are stepping all over each other and trying to get stuff. It makes efficiency tough. So getting into a bigger space and being able to have it organized and everything, kind of control the flow is so important.
We're in a shop right now that's about 5,500 square foot, and we're moving into a new shop that's over 13,000 square foot. So we're going to be able to effectively add a ton more of vehicles being worked on at any given time. And that's a huge problem. Customers, unfortunately, right now, this day and time, one piece of the puzzle we do run into is customers want it here and now. We'd love to be able to make that happen, but unfortunately, there's just not enough hours in the day to accomplish that.
Yeah.
So we've been focused heavily on getting this move taken care of. And as far as the business goes, directly answering that, we do focus on diesel and off-road. Those are our 2 primary parts of the business. So anything suspension related and diesel related, we work with the best guys in the country. Over the years, we've created some relationships with some of the biggest names in the whole diesel market, and these guys have been phenomenal to help us out. Tuning-wise, we're utilizing the best tuners that we can. We got Ryan Milliken doing the Cummins. We got Ben Shaddy doing Cummins tuning. We got Corey Willis doing our Duramax tuning. So we found those guys. They help us put it together. Fleece, they're building some awesome products for the engine aspect of it. We're able to work with them. Suncoast, transmission-wise, got it covered. So we're just trying to assemble the best options available.
I definitely think that's, I'm all the way on the other side of the country, and the reputation of RLC Motorsports, it's known out here, and people know the quality of work, and, we hear it all the time, or, I talk to someone, and, you guys built their truck or did this, and, those are the guys who call into the podcast or email us and stuff, and they're like, get Mike on. So.
Man, I'm humbled that guys take the time to do that. That makes it all worth the while, all the late nights, man. It's just knowing that people, care enough to say that. I really appreciate that.
What's the best way for truck guys or off-road guys to get in contact with you and set up an appointment or stop by the shop and talk about a project?
The easiest way would definitely be calling the shop. That's one way to get a hold of us. Our website, rlcmotorsports.com. And then also on social media, we're on Facebook, RLC Motorsports there, and then on Instagram, RLC Motorsports. Any of those avenues are pretty easy to get a hold of us. Or you can even email us, because that's the thing to do these days, apparently.
Yeah.
Catching on to this whole technology. So info at RLC Motorsports works too really good.
It's like we're all tied to our phones now, you know?
Yeah, I know. You can't get away from it. 10 years ago, I didn't even want to have one. Now I can't live without it.
Well, we appreciate you sitting down with us today, Mike, and talking to us about RLC Motorsports and your truck, and look forward to seeing you at Rudy's and throughout the year, and we'll sit down again next year and talk about the goals for 2018.
Man, Patrick, thank you for taking the time out of your day today to have me on the show. I really appreciate it.